Hey guys, and welcome to the 6th anniversary of FGO. As you can clearly see, we're still dealing with the fallout of the two major Avalon nukes, Melusine and Morgan.
Most of us came out of it broken beyond repair, while others need to be a bit more careful about their surroundings.
Now, some of you may be hoping for this anniversary to be a kind of break of sorts that you can, stockpile your same quartz and buckle down onto the next big banner. Well, guess what? That's not happening. But before we get into that nonsense, let's go into the more important parts of a gacha game's anniversary. The free stuff. With FGO anniversaries, they like doing something called the 10-part campaign. This is basically how they organize the events for the anniversary in a nice way so that players can understand what's going on. Now, the first thing you're going to notice as you're reading this list is that, half of these are pointless. What I mean by that is that most of these things are kind of self-explanatory, and I don't really think you need a video explaining what these things are. Like, do I really need to go into in-depth, intricate details about storage expansion, half stamina use, 3 times chances of EXP boost?
You know, you could have just kept that part in and extended the runtime of the video.
Oh wait. Holy shit, he's right. Like all anniversaries, obviously there's gonna be a login bonus. And for those of you who are new, let's quickly run down what these are. General currency, points for the friend banner, EXP cards for servants, shop currency, permanent stat increase for servants, stamina refill, bond cap increase, which is just your friendship points with your servants, level cap increase for your servants, and finally 10 summon tickets, which is probably what you're here for. Here's another new thing that most new players to FGO probably won't know. If you're already experienced with gacha games, you're expecting the company to drop a ton of free summon materials on you just so new players can rush in and summon for the newest servant that just came out. And FGO is the same case, but that's with a massive but. That's because FGO gives their stones by adding a ton of new missions to the game that, while established players will have a very easy time of doing, newer players probably not so much. For this year, they're adding on a ton of new missions for beating interludes, rank up quests, and free quests, while also doubling the rewards that we normally get for doing interludes. But for new players, they don't need to worry too much because they're dropping 156 St. Quartz on us due to the stream and other things, if the JP version is being copied exactly. Now that we're done with those campaigns, let's talk about the next campaigns, the slightly more important ones. So remember how I said that this part was going to be important? Well, I lied. That's because out of the 2 campaigns here, one of them is definitely important, and the other one doesn't even exist.
Now I have a question for you.
What? Who is
Do you ever
talking
wonder
right
to
now?
yourself, man, I wish there was a reason to use more money on FGO?
No! Who wishes that?
You want to use your money more than the 2
No,
times of the year that
not
there's a
at all.
paid banner?
Well, actually,
Do you ever just wish that there was an excuse to use your money
No,
daily?
not at all.
Well, too bad.
That's right, one of the campaigns being introduced for the 6th anniversary is the daily paid St. Quartz summon. You can now spend 1 paid St. Quartz for a single summon on each limited banner 1 time every day. Just to clarify, this single paid summon is completely separate from the normal single summons you would have done that would have counted up 10 times for your 11th free pull. Now you might be asking yourself, who is this even for? What kind of person would be so reckless with their money that they're willing to spend that money every single day on a god? It's me. That reckless person is me. Now as for that other campaign, there is none. One of the big campaigns that was supposed to be this year was the servant coin system update, but we already got it, like last year. That means that 3 out of the 10 campaigns for this anniversary is kind of redundant because we've already had them before. So what's going to be filling in the gap? Now a reasonable answer would be that they would find some extra fluff to fill in that gap, or use some of the extra side campaigns that are also happening this anniversary and count them in the 10 campaigns. Or... So, the FGO NA server tends to have a trend of bringing pretty big updates way earlier to the server, way ahead of schedule. Whether it be pretty big changes like the servant coin system, or quality of life changes like the pity system.
What pity system?
Exactly! Why is it like this? So a theory that's been going around lately is that the battle system update of the 7th anniversary will be coming to this anniversary a whole year early. So in the slim chance that it does happen, let's go over it real quick.
In FGO, we have a card-based battle system that revolves around 3 card types. There's Arts with its focus on boosting your NP gauge and ability to chain NPs more and more and more, spamming them out more frequently than the others. There's also Buster with its signature monkey gameplay where you push the big red buttons and dish out hard-hitting attacks and even harder-hitting crits. And Quick was fucking quick. Quick was definitely the worst of the trio, and so the battle system update was one of the ways Lasagna tried to fix that issue. So big change number 1 was changing the bonus you would get for having Quick at the beginning of your chain. Originally, the buff was an increase in crit star generation for all the cards in the chain, and when put in comparison to having a damage bonus or increasing NP generation rate, it's simply not that great. So it was changed to now also give all cards in the chain an additional 20% to their crit chance, which is definitely much better. The Quick chain was also changed from giving 10 crit stars to being doubled into 20 crit stars, which also helped solidify and bolster Quick's identity as the crit for days card. Now while the Quick update is nice and all, when most people talk about this huge update, they're probably talking about the introduction of the Mighty Chain. Unlike the 3 chains we are already used to, Arts, Buster, Quick, where you have to match 3 of a kind, Mighty Chains are when you have 1 of each. Once you get a Mighty Chain, you gain all the buffs you would have gotten for having a Buster, Arts, or Quick as your first card. So all cards in the chain would get the Buster buff of an attack up, the Arts buff of MP gen rate, and the now updated Quick buff of 20% crit chance and crit star gen rate. And just like every other chain, the Mighty Chain also has a Brave Chain version called the Mighty Brave Chain. That was so many fucking chains, where you just need to have all 3 card types, but they're all from the same servant this time. It's pretty much the same, but now the extra attack also gets the same buffs as before, except crit chance, because that would be weird. This update springs up a lot of new potential, especially when it comes to soloing, because when you're the only servant alive and all the cards are yours, a Mighty Brave Chain is basically all you're gonna do.
And that's pretty much it for the battle system update. That didn't take too much time. What's left? Just the guaranteed 5-star banner, the free 5-star that we're getting, the servant strengthening, Koyanskaya. When's the anniversary gonna come out again?
I know some of you skipped to this part of the video, and I'm very disappointed.
With any anniversary, you guys are really here for the big stuff, and that comes down to the final 4 campaigns in the anniversary. Anyways, this is probably what most of you are here for, so let's just quickly get into it.
That's right, you read that correctly. Every player, whether they be new or old, is getting a free 5-star of their choice, with absolutely no other conditions or strings attached in order to keep them. As long as you clear the first story chapter for Yuki, you can choose from this list of 5 stars. And this campaign is not just limited to the 6th anniversary. This is a permanent thing that players can take advantage of from now on. When choosing your 5-star, there are 3 big important reasons to consider. The first being, choose whoever you like. Only thought-provoking advice on this channel. But for you new players who haven't even started the game yet, you barely know who half these servants even are. So I'm going to show you a few servants that I like and why I came to like them. So if you get interested, you can go research some of the other servants that piqued your interest. Anyways, my first pick is Napoleon. Yes, they made the short guy into an anime Giga Chad. While most people would argue that Tesla is the better Buster AoE archer, I just like Napoleon more because of how much an impression he gave me during the story. He gave me similar vibes to All Might, as a true hero of hopes and dreams, showing that nothing is impossible because he is here. And honestly, I just eat that stuff up, man. It's amazing. Another pick I got for you is Ozymandias. I don't really need to say anything, just listen to this.
として平服せよ。我が無縁の好機、太陽はここに降臨せり。
Yeah, that's right. And finally, for my third pick, I have Nightingale. I really like the whole crazy nurse dynamic and how she's constantly trying to cure people to a very manic degree. But what really sold me on her were her new battle animations. She takes the whole "I'm a healer, but" meme to a whole nother level, as she also has her own gun and brings a whole new meaning to bedside manner. Now, another reason for why you should pick a specific servant is for meta reasons. And honestly, for meta reasons, it really just boils down to this. Do you have Waver? If you don't, get Waver. If you do you have Tamamo? If not, pick her. If yes, then just pick whoever you want at that point. Because when it comes to the meta, supports are always going to be on the top of the list for FGO, whether it be for farming reasons or for utility reasons. And so it would make sense why people would tell you to prioritize these two over everyone else on the list. The only reason why Waver is above Tamamo is that Waver is a much more universal support with buffs that any team can use in comparison to Tamamo, who is mainly used on arts teams. And the fact that Waver can give up to 50% charge to a single ally and 20% to everyone else, which just helps make content in general go much smoother. And finally, the last reason, the collection reason. Unlike the previous times we got a free 5-star, this time they have also concluded some story-locked 5-star servants. These are servants that can either only be pulled through the story banner once you have progressed enough in the main story, or when they are featured on a banner. So unlike the other servants on the list that are in the general pool and so you can pull them on any banner at any time, these story locked servants are pretty difficult to get, so choosing them for that reason is not a bad idea. But don't twist this reasoning to be like, oh, that means eventually I'll get Waver, so I shouldn't pick him now. It's just a factor to consider. And let's say you're still on the fence about the decision and can't decide because you don't know who's still gonna be good or not in the future. Well, a few of them are actually gonna get some upgrades. So for this servant strengthening section, I'm just gonna go a bit more freeform. We're gonna try going completely off script and based off like my first impressions, mainly because I want to see if I can even do this type of format for future and to see if any of you guys like if I do it like this or not. And also, there's like 14 of these. I complained about that, yes, last year, and it's still 14 of them. There's a lot, so let's just go quickly through them. So first off, we got Saber Lily. Her instinct is being upgraded, which is good because all the instinct skills are trash and they've been making a movement to slowly upgrade them. It's being changed to Path Where Flowers Fall A. It's still keeping the crit stars while also being an MP battery and increasing the amount of healing she receives, which synergizes very well with her healing that she gets on her MP. And also, if you didn't know, she's the only 4-star in the friend point banner. So try your best to get her, but don't go mad trying to get for her because it's a very low chance. And how did that meme go? Subarashi Patch this. Patch. Mozart, his MP damage debuff is getting buffed, which is pretty good. It now reduces their arts resistance and reduces their crit chance. Probably the crit chance is not that important, but the reducing arts resistance is really nice. I don't know for most people, but whenever I use Mozart, I just use him as like a one and done champion. Champion. I use him as a one and done servant. He just comes in with a taunt seed, pops arts, gives me 50 stars, and then that second skill is kind of useless because you can't time it right. But now since it reduces arts resist, it's more useful now. Next up, Ozymandias. His MP is getting upgraded, so now it grants him the Sunlight Battlefield and reduces his own cooldowns, which now explains why they gave him that first skill upgrade, which gives him conditional buffs on Sunlight. 10 crit stars per turn and crit damage up to like 30% on Sunlight Battlefield, which was a huge thing if he had it consistently, and now he does. Now the only thing we need on him is an upgrade to his third skill so that the cooldown is the same as the second skill, because you always want to pop third skill, second skill to make it guaranteed. And with all the reducing cooldown he now have, if all three of its skills were the same cooldown, that would be amazing. Alright, next up, Matahari. Her Espionage A++, which was pretty bad, just crit star regen, is now the Sun Falls on, I don't know how to pronounce that, EX, making her more of a support, increasing party's crit star gen and crit damage up to 50%. Very sizable for 30 turns, for three turns. And Bonnie and Mary Reed. They're now Lackluster Voyage A, which also gave just crit star gen, now gives Guts, a taunt, and MP regen. That Guts may seem really small, considering it's just 1 HP revive, but considering their whole gimmick is their MP, which makes them do massive damage if they're lower health, being revived to 1 HP, and the fact that they're getting NP regen so that they can get that NP firing off faster, means that they're going to do crazy damage. And as you can see, wow, that is a lot. Hasana the Cursed Arm. Zabani is now going to synergize well with the whole insta-kill thing it's got going for it. If the insta-kill procs, he gains attack and charges his own MP by 50%, meaning he can potentially loop this even more. Next up, Kirke, or Cersei. Her MP is getting upgraded, so now it removes their offensive buffs. Next up, Leonidas. His battle continuation guts is getting upgraded, so now it's Defiance of 300. His guts is now twice as potent and now stacks with other guts. And now every time he procs a guts, he increases the party's attack by 20% for 3 turns. So it increases his synergies and nice tank / support. Overall, very nice. Next up, both Kus are getting an NP update. Ku Alter is getting an upgrade to his MP so that it removes a defensive buff. Very nice. Helps increase his potency as a soloer, so no pesky invade gimmicks or invuln gimmicks are getting through him unless they're unremovable, which feels bad. Prototype, his Gay Bolg, now makes it so it has a quick buff and it ignores defense buffs. So still very solid, just solid NP buffs. Jean Alter, her NP is also getting a buff. It now gives 30 crit stars, so now even when you're spamming your NP and your Buster cards, considering she's a Buster-centric crit servant, she's now going to generate stars anyways to fuel those critical attacks. So overall, Mephistopheles. Who is going to use Mephistopheles? His innocent monster is being changed to Impotent Rage. He now gains attack and reduces all enemy healing received. Even despite this buff, who is using Mephistopheles? Ereshkigal. Her MP is getting upgraded, so now it deals 150 bonus damage to Earth attribute enemies, and so she fills a much nicer niche and does a lot good damage to a larger group of people. She also increases her support potency by increasing the attack and crit resistance, and gives insta-kill immunity to all allies that have that Blessing of Kur on them for 3 turns. Frances Drake, her golden rule is now being changed to golden rule of running through. It increases her own buster performance and grants self-ignore defense for 3 turns. So now she has all 3 buffs in attack up, NP damage up, and now card performance up. So she should be doing a lot more damage than before. And overall, these are very nice buffs. I guess let me know if you like this sort of thing. I gotta get more used to it for it to be more free-flowing. And just to see if I want to use this style for other kinds of content, because it saves a lot more time than writing a script. So overall, these are sizable upgrades. A lot of the 5 stars also get really potent upgrades, but some of you are wondering like, damn, there's all these upgrades, but I don't even have any of these servants. Well, here's one solution for you. Just like every other anniversary, we are getting the Lucky Bag banner, aka the 5-star guaranteed banner, once again this year. And similar to last year's anniversary, the banners are being organized based on what year the servants were released in. The only difference for this year, however, is that now classes are being separated into Saber, Archer, Lancer, and then Rider, Caster, Assassin. And the extra classes, okay, I didn't really understand the logic of how they split them up, but they did something, I guess? The advantage of this is that now we have a lot more banners to choose from with much smaller pools of servants, making it easier to pinpoint who you want. So we get situations like these 2 banners where there's only 4 servants on each and all of them are solid options to get. Now I can't really say which banner that you should pick for yourself, but the reasoning is basically the same for when you picked your free 5-star. Pick whoever you like, or whatever's meta. And with how power creep goes for gacha games, the newer servants tend to be better than the older ones, and there's an especially strong case when it comes to the last 2 banners of the batch. With this banner not only having very strong servants, but each cover very different gameplay styles, and so you can't really go wrong with any of them. And this banner especially being strong with not only having strong units in Crane, Tyra, and Karen, but also mainly because of her for the following short list of reasons. And also because of Morgan, who's both a great AoE berserker on her own, and is going to be one of the main DPSs to the new Buster system that will be coming to NA in the future. And by future, I mean right now. This year's headline unit is the CEO of NFF Services Koyanskaya of Light. And I'm just gonna say real quick, there's gonna be a servant in the future called Koyanskaya of Darkness later on, and their looks make them feel like their names should be swapped over, and I never really understood why that wasn't the case. Anyways, Koyanskaya is gonna be the Buster equivalent of what Castoria and Scotty did for Arts and Quick, but in a very different way. Castoria and Scotty work due to Arts and Quick being able to gain MP gauge on hit. So whenever you use an Arts or Quick NP, you always get some of the gauge back as a refund. Because of this, a lot of math goes into how many buffs a certain servant needs to be able to get enough MP back and loop efficiently. This is definitely not the case for Buster though. So Koyanskaya gets around this by using a different kind of math. Skill cooldown manipulation. Koyanskaya's first skill not only charges the MP gauge of an ally by 50%, but it also reduces their cooldowns by 2 turns. It also reduces their health by 1000, but we're just gonna ignore that part. Now, it might be a bit difficult to understand how exactly this works to help farm, so let's go with an example. In this example, Morgan starts off with a max limit broken K-scope, so she starts with 100% MP gauge. The Koyanskayas pop their Buster buffs to increase her damage, and she does an MP, clearing wave 1. Now in wave 2, Morgan pops first skill, increasing her attack and bringing her to 30%, and second skill bringing her to 50%, with her cooldowns being 6 and 5 turns respectively. Koyanskaya 1 uses her first skill on Morgan to bring her to 100% and reduces her cooldowns to 4 and 3, pop MP, and clear wave 2. Finally, in wave 3, a turn has passed, so Morgan's skills are now on 3 and 2. Koyanskaya 2 uses her skill 1 on Morgan, bringing her to 50%, making her first skill 1 and her second cooldown off cooldown. Now use the Atlas Mystic Code skill 3 to bring the first skill off cooldown, and use them both to charge to 100%. Now, quick side note, you may have noticed that despite skill 2 having a 3-turn damage buff against human and man attribute enemies, and so could have been used at the beginning to have that damage buff through all 3 waves, they are being used on the final turn instead. This is mainly because the second skill gives a crit star bomb for a total of 40 stars, which could be very helpful for getting the crits to kill the final big enemy. Now, based on the example we just saw, you can kind of see the problem with the Koyanskaya system, in that you need some kind of battery in order to make it work. Unless your name is Emmy Archer, because he's fucking weird like that. Because of that, there's not that many servers that can even use the system to begin with. That is, until we consider Koyanskaya's Buster partner in crime, Oberon. Oberon helps remedy a lot of the problems with the Koyanskaya system, and allows for more servants to be able to farm with it. By tagging in Oberon on the last wave, you can charge up an ally by 70% and massively increase their damage for a finishing blow with both a Buster buff and a unique NP damage boost buff that is unique to only Oberon, even in the JP server to this day. Now a new situation arises in that now you need to summon 2 5-stars that are coming nearly back to back, as Oberon's banner will release right after the anniversary. So I'm gonna try simplifying this for you. Do you want to use your Buster characters more often, whether it be for farming, boss battles, or for content in general? Then I would say to go for Koyanskaya, because despite some of the flaws of her method of farming, she's still an extremely powerful Buster support, and unlike Merlin, she can actually last more than 1 turn. Now, do you not care for Buster and want to add another powerful support to your roster? I'd say go for Oberon, because despite the fact that he buffs Buster, his Mega buff is universal and can be used on any team, whether it be Arts with Castoria or Quick with Scotty. I will not, however, recommend it for new players who don't have any of the 3 supports I just mentioned. Mainly because while Oberon is a universal support, he is not a universal support. He's purely only there to help deliver the finishing blow by amplifying your damage, and so you kinda need to have a baseline of damage buffs to even notice this jump in damage. And if you don't kill the enemy once you pop that 3rd skill, your ass is going to bed. Forever. So take these factors and choose wisely in how you want to spend your Saint Quartz. I'll include some videos of much wiser masters in the description if you want more in-depth details about the topic. Because at the end of the day, it's up to you and what you want, in order to decide on who to go for. Or you can just get good to get both.